What up, everybody? It's Aaron here with Robert. This is Get Your Geek on Talkin Geek. This is our podcast where we talk about some news that we both enjoyed from this past week and just kind of give you our 2 cents on it. And
sometimes we don't enjoy the news that we talk about. This is news we find interesting and things we wanted to talk about. Sometimes they're exciting topics and sometimes they are not.
No.
I think we have a mix today.
Today's a huge mix.
We have some that I'm excited to talk about and others that I feel like we need to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I agree with you 100%. Although I do want to start off with a light note real quick. I just want to say go watch our Res Please review. Duffy did that.
Yeah.
I should just comment on that before I forget. It was a fun little game. I liked watching him play it.
Yeah.
So Scarlett Johansson's in the news.
Yeah, Black Widow herself. Big fun times going on. So Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney.
Yeah.
For putting Black Widow on Disney Plus. Because her contract was directly tied to box office success. She was, and a lot of movie studios and movie stars do this, especially with movies that they think are going to be successful and things like that. They might have bonuses or a little extra that they'll make if it hits certain milestones in the box office.
Yeah.
And so Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow contract included some of those pieces. And she is alleging in her lawsuit that by releasing it on Disney Plus, that has negatively impacted the ability for the movie to make that money at the box office, which is costing her earnings. And that she, again, is alleging that she tried to reach out to Disney to potentially renegotiate her contract, and that they ignored her, is what she's alleging. Disney has already responded, basically saying that, this is someone, like, she's just not taking into consideration the COVID-19 pandemic and how much it affected people, and they're, blah, blah, blah. It's really hard to take the side of the giant corporation
right.
In this situation, because it seems like they probably, are perfectly fine with not paying her extra, potentially millions of dollars.
Very true.
Right?
Very, very true.
So, yeah.
The one thing I think that I will say, and I'm going to comment and I'll probably get hit later for this or something, I don't like that Disney comments, well, we paid her $20 million. Yeah. Like, that was kind of a cheap shot to me by Disney.
Especially because, that's what she earned for the movie. You signed that contract.
Exactly.
And she was also supposed to get paid this X money if the movie performed well, which I think we can all agree that COVID-19, no matter, they delayed it over a year.
Yeah.
And you could make the argument that maybe they still didn't delay it long enough. I mean, there's still a lot going on, and that the more they delayed it, would it have made more money? I don't know. I mean, I see a lot of articles out there that are like, oh, Marvel movies routinely make $1 billion. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The Avengers movies have made it. Well, I think all of the Avengers movies made over $1 billion.
Did the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
Black Panther, I think, made over $1 billion worldwide.
But that's it, right?
And I don't think any other movies have made over $1 billion. There's some that have. I think Iron Man 3 actually made over $1 billion. But a bunch of the other ones, they've gotten close. 700-800 million, and I think Black Widow probably, even if it had come out when it was supposed to, and there hadn't been a pandemic, I would say it would probably fall in the range of, worldwide box office. It's probably going to make somewhere around 400 to 600 million.
Yeah.
It was never going to be the Avengers level movie.
No.
It's a single solo adventure movie. And so we've seen movies like, the Ant-Man movies or Captain Marvel or, things like that. Guardians, sure. I mean, even, I think Civil War might have made over $1 billion, but really only the big team-up movies outside of Iron Man 3. That's really the only one that broke through, and that was coming off the heels of the Avengers, with the most popular character in the movie universe being Iron Man. And so I just don't I don't see it ever making $1 billion, but I also don't know what those benchmarks in the contract were.
Exactly.
Like maybe it was if it reaches 500 million, you get 10 million,
yeah.
And if it reaches 750, you get another 10, and if it reaches $1 billion, you get another 10. Like I have no idea. I'm just complete speculation.
Yeah, and if you think about it, going with a character like Spider-Man, I don't think the Spider-Man film has broken $1 billion, and that is technically the biggest moneymaker is always Spider-Man.
It
He's
has
the most
been, yeah.
well-known, everything. So you can't compare her to anybody, and if it's not going to make sense. You know, first of all, she's been in a lot, she's done a lot, but I do want to compare her contract to someone like Robert Downey's at the end for Endgame. He made $70 million just from the movie, and I believe his bonus was it hit so much money, which I don't remember what it was.
He got back.
He got
points.
8 cents per movie ticket sold.
Right.
So if they sold 5 million tickets, I mean, 8 cents adds up. Like that's a huge amount of money right there.
Yep.
And not counting if he got anything for DVD sales or anything else, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And now, you know, like she said, I'm gonna lose out on all those tickets because when you break it down, you spend, let's say, on an average about $15 a movie ticket.
Sure.
Average family, say 3 kids, you know, 1 kid, so 3 people going. That's already $45. So $45, bam, right off the bat. But if you stay home, I can only spend $30. So technically, I save $15 to watch it. And I might be able to call my brother, my sister, my uncles, my nephews, and let's all go watch it now at my house.
You know, what makes these movies make $1 billion is repeat viewings.
Exactly.
Right? People that go see movies multiple times. And I'm one of those. Like, I have seen most of the Marvel movies ever since the Avengers. I've seen most of them more than one time in theater.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's where you make $1 billion. You know, the opening weekend is always the big one, and people, you know, go see it. But you're not going to reach $1 billion unless people are going to see it multiple times. So now that maybe I do go see it the first time in theater, and I did. Yeah. But now it's like, well, if I want to go see it again, am I really going to go out to the theater, pay a babysitter, do all those extra things? Or it's like, you know what, I want to see that movie again. I really liked it, and now I can own it. I can pay $30, and as long as I have a Disney Plus subscription, I will always have access to that movie.
Yep.
You know,
you're renting it from that service.
Well, you're essentially buying it from that service. That's the way that they do it. So now I can spend the $30, and you're right. Like other people that, you know, like maybe, you know, brother or sister that hasn't seen it yet, and it's like, oh well, you know, they maybe would be the person that would go on the 3rd or 4th weekend when they get time, and now it's like, well, you know, come over. I've got it. You can watch it with me.
Oh yeah, I liked it. I'll watch it again. Come over.
So they're losing not only the people that maybe aren't as excited to go first weekend and they'll just watch it a few weekends later, as well as the repeat, you know, theater goers. And so, yeah, this is having a major impact on box office. And, you know, I think there are merits to it in terms of, you know, giving access to people that maybe wouldn't be able to see the movie for either health or personal reasons. They can't get to a movie theater, and you're giving them access to see this movie. Yeah. But I think that's where, you know, the lawsuit alleges that Disney basically was unwilling to renegotiate and say, you know, we'll give you a cut of, you know, maybe new subscriber money or something like that.
Exactly.
You know, that hits during some 2-week period. Like if they, you know, identify, okay, the 2 weeks of after Black Widow comes out, you know, we'll give you a cut of this many new subscribers if they also purchase Black Widow. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like there's ways that they could have done this and avoided this lawsuit. Now I have no idea which way it's going to go.
No.
Whether, you know, she's going to be able to win that lawsuit. I mean, most contracts at this level have a thing in them, a clause in them, which is like the act of God clause, where and they could argue that, well, the pandemic was something that we couldn't foresee when we were writing the contract, and so that portion of the contract is null and void because of the fact that the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And nobody could have anticipated that.
But it's not an act of God, it was a bat. Just play.
Well, I mean, Batman's kind of a god.
Oh God. Oh God. No,
he's not really. He's more like a narcissistic asshole who's rich.
Exactly.
We have a few of those. We have a few of those in our world.
They're not trying to go to space at all. But I mean, I agree with you, man. Like, it sucks for her because you don't know how much money you could have made. Yeah. And I think Disney's cheap shot of, oh well, she made $20 million, so why should she want more? Kind of comment. That's what it felt like to me when I read theirs. I'm like, well, yeah, but you can't say that.
Coming from the company that like wants every billion they can get. Yeah.
Right.
It's like, why would you want more? I don't know, Disney. Look in a fucking mirror. Pardon my French.
I mean, that's where I was like, man, like, they said that just to make people like start not liking her, because that's what they do. You got to make them not like her.
Yep.
But at the same time, Disney is notorious for going against contracts. Again, we go back to the first one ever to me was Terrence Howard. Oh yeah, sign up for 3 movies. We paid you too much. Get out of here.
Well,
Bye.
they definitely. I mean, that wasn't Disney at that time. They weren't.
Marvel.
They weren't owned by Disney at that point.
That was Marvel.
And things have really changed since around the time of Civil War.
Yeah.
Because that's when Ike Perlmutter was kind of removed from the decision-making process, and he was notoriously the one that was against like Black Widow having a solo movie, Black Widow being available in toys, Black Panther having a movie, Captain Marvel having a movie. Like he was kind of the obstacle to a lot of those types of things, and he's gone. And Marvel has, again, famously, they didn't want to bring back Alan Silvestri, the composer of the Avengers, for Age of Ultron because he didn't want to pay him royalties. And it's like, okay, so they've moved past that.
Yeah.
Marvel, has really started to pay their people what they're worth, and there's a reason why, like some of these actors and things, and they make billions of dollars, but that doesn't mean they make every choice right. And we don't know who made those choices. Like, I don't know that Kevin Feige was involved in the contract with Scarlett Johansson,
right?
And so it's a weird thing to see a movie star with a movie currently in theaters and all that stuff, and who's been in several movies as this character. It's weird to see it, but
I guess this means this is the last showing of Black Widow.
Yeah,
I don't think she's gonna get another
until we just start calling Yelena Belova or whatever Florence Pugh's character's name is.
Yeah,
she's just gonna be Black Widow from now on. So.
Yeah, so I guess bye Scarlett. Yep. It was good. It was a good run for you. I
mean,
liked
we
it.
kind of assumed that anyway.
Yeah,
so.
True. But staying into like lawsuits and everything else.
Yeah.
I guess.
Ooh, let's get into the heavy topic, right?
Right. Let's keep going. So this week, this past week, on July 28th, there was a boycott at Blizzard.
Yeah.
Allegedly, Blizzard has been notorious for not treating their female employees with the respect they deserve or giving them the money they deserve as much as their male counterparts would get, such as raises, bonuses, etc.
Yeah, there's a lawsuit that's been filed, and it's kind of there are multiple things going on. I mean, there's like a culture of sexual harassment as well as kind of what you said in terms of like
very not frat boy mentality.
Not paying them what they're worth, not promoting them. Just kind of all of every box you can check of like how to be a terrible company. It sounds like that's what Blizzard did, and again, that's all alleged. We are not Blizzard employees. We were not there. We cannot say that. But there has been a lot of corroboration from Blizzard employees, and there was a walkout by Blizzard employees.
Yes, on the 28th of July
to basically bring light to this situation and try and get the gaming community on board with a boycott.
And they did. They basically, from 10 to 2 on July 28th, they asked every gamer out there, please do not play any Activision-related game from those times to help support the boycott. And literally one of them said, this is the least you can do, literally. And I give them, props to that, because it is something that we can do as gamers and anyone who wants to help these groups and stuff, like to help fight against this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so people didn't play. Some streamers even said they're donating money to the groups to help them out, these boycott groups, and hopefully help these Activision employees get what they deserve, I mean, everyone should be treated equal. The one thing I can say is I do know Blizzard in general does not pay their employees well. I can say that from an experience I know of. Basically, they do have a branch in Austin, which is more of their tech support branch versus the gaming one, where this boycott was more in place in California. I never see anything in Austin.
Yeah.
Now that I say that out loud. But I'm wondering if Austin had anything. But again, they are just tech center. They kind of handle like tech issues. They help out with any graphic issues, stuff like that.
Right.
But the games aren't made there. But the employees there are not paid great. They do try to keep it very Google mentality, like free sodas, basketball court, weights. You can do all this fun stuff while you're here at work, but you're still working, and we're gonna work all hours of the night. So good luck. But yeah, so I can say that Blizzard sometimes doesn't treat them well. I also had a friend though who was at the company in California and said he enjoyed it. But again, male perspective, and we're coming from the females who are saying that they're not getting treated well.
Right.
So I don't know. It's very interesting on how Blizzard's treating everybody. Again, Blizzard, I know, does rely on the fact that they're such a big company. They hope people just want to work for them for free because, well, we created WoW. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yep.
And so, I don't know. Again, we don't know who's right or wrong, but it's interesting where it's going from.
Yeah,
There's a lot of allegations going on.
This is one that it's kind of, there's so much corroboration that it's really easy to kind of say, you know what, I think it's really easy to believe the people that are saying these things.
Yeah.
Without any firsthand knowledge, I believe the people that have alleged these things about Blizzard. I believe that these types of companies, whether it's these tech companies that kind of like, well, we're not going to have rules. We're not, and those are, this type of stuff pops up in virtually every organization, but it just feels like, like you're inviting some of that if you're really just like, oh, we're not going to have rules and people can do whatever they want. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't tend to actually work because
what happens.
People are terrible.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I believe in Harvey Dent.
Okay, Two-Face.
I mean, just commenting. You said you believe in Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
I had to try to make some kind of joke because, like, this was all serious stuff. I had to go for a joke.
All right, let's move on to something fun.
Where are we going?
Because I want to talk about, Suicide Squad is coming out, directed by James Gunn. So he's been making the rounds.
I don't know who that is.
James Gunn.
Never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Liar.
He's some new director, right?
Famously directed the first two Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Some indie films, I guess.
And will be directing Volume 3 as well. But he's been giving a lot of interviews, and somebody asked him, now that he's worked for both Marvel and DC, whether or not there would ever be a crossover. And he actually said that he has talked to the heads of both Marvel and DC, and everybody's open to everything, but whether anything would ever happen, who knows? But he thinks that would be a really fun idea. His specific thing that he thought would be fun would be a Harley Quinn Groot movie, which sounds insane. I don't want that movie, actually.
Please don't, James Gunn.
But then he kind of clarified that he hadn't pitched that movie to them. He had just said, like, what about the ideas of a crossover? And I think this is his direct quote. He said, I know it's exciting for even the heads of Marvel and DC to think about. Kevin Feige over at Marvel and Toby Emmerich over at Warner Brothers. It's something we all like to dream about. Whether we could ever get through the barrage, the Berlin Wall of lawyers we would need to get through to ever make something like that happen, I don't know. But it would be a blast.
That movie would cost so much money to make.
Well,
but wait a minute. If Henry Cavill is Superman and Hyperion,
you have to think about, okay, what would the movie be, right? Because like obviously they have done this in the comics not very frequently. Like it's happened a few times,
3 or 4, I think,
where there's been crossover events and as always and Marvel and Sony famously made the deal with Spider-Man and all that stuff to bring him into the MCU and all those things. And this is one of those things where, especially if you're going to have them in opposition to one another at all, each company is going to want their characters to come out on top.
Yeah.
Think of something like Batman v Superman, which even that is, they're in the same company, but they don't want to have a clear winner because they want to have Superman fans be satisfied and Batman fans be satisfied. So, yeah, it's like all of a sudden if you do like Avengers versus Justice League or something that, which like, number one, why would the Avengers fight the Justice League? Like it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but okay, let's just say we're going to do it. Like
Tony Stark and Batman throwing money at each other.
Right, like at what point are you going to say like, okay, now we've paired off, Superman's fighting the Hulk.
Yeah.
And so they're going to fight and, we don't actually want to have a winner.
Yeah.
Because then one company gets to say, come see Superman kick Hulk's butt.
Yeah.
And like so it's just like from a creative standpoint, it's like, how do you accomplish this unless it's some sort of like they're teaming up to take out something?
Yeah.
But even that, then, okay, who gets the big hero moment? Who, like that type of thing. Like, there's so many just creative obstacles to this,
hard.
let alone all the financial obstacles of like, who finances the movie? How do you divide the money that gets made? Like, all of those things are even just like secondary to what would the story be.
Yeah. It'd
because,
be really, really tough.
Crazy creative. Like, would I absolutely line up to see a Harley Quinn Groot movie? I mean, I would, because I like Groot a lot, and Harley Quinn, I think, is hit or miss. That's not a bad pun about her having a bat. But it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I would go see a Marvel DC crossover movie because I already see all the Marvel movies and I already see all the DC movies. So yeah, of course, if they're in the same movie, I'm going to go see it. But I find it very unlikely.
Could you also imagine what streaming platform would we go on? Did we go on HBO Max or did we go on Disney Plus?
Right.
They would kill each other over that one alone.
You can go on both. It's simultaneous. Yeah, whatever.
But if you're already on HBO, it's free. But if you go to Disney Plus, you got to rent it for $30.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
It would be a mess. Logistically, it'd be a mess.
It would be a mess. It
won't happen.
Again, I love that the creative people are like, that sounds great. It's not gonna happen.
All the lawyers are like shaking their head. No. Just don't worry about that.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I don't know. Like, are there? I'm gonna ask you. Are there two characters like that you would really love to see paired up, like a Marvel character and a DC character, whether they're hero, villain, like anything? You would just like to see them in the same movie.
Yeah, there's a couple I would say. Like, I would like to see Superman and Cap. I don't want it to be Thor. I want it to be Cap. A lot of stuff they ever show, it's always like Thor and him. Like every now and then, I think there was one crossover where he kind of went with Cap. But let's face it, Cap knows he can't beat Superman. Once he sees some of his powers, Cap's got to know, like, crap, I'm screwed.
Yeah. But so you want them to be in opposition with one another?
For a second, but I want it to be like, we're gonna fight, and it's like, wait, you're the big blue Boy Scout kind of thing. Well, you're a war hero, like, and they would just be like, we're gonna hit. No, and they would just talk. I want to see it like we're going to fight, and
this sounds really boring. I'm not gonna lie.
It would be boring, but it'd be funny to see it. I mean, I would be happy to see that.
Okay.
Don't know why. I think it'd be cool to see them two on screen, but I would like to see Doctor Doom and probably like Lex Luthor. Like them two, because imagine the ego that walks in that room together.
Yeah.
I mean, Victor Von Doom's like, get out of here. And they just start fighting in a heartbeat. They wouldn't even last 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think, I think what would be really interesting is I would love to see, I'm trying to think, like, I would love to see a Wonder Woman interacting with someone like Thor. Like, I think, because they're both, like, ageless, gods kind of things. Like, I just think that could be really interesting because they both kind of have that old-time perspective.
I would just want to see the Lasso of Truth on Thor.
Right. Like,
hilarious.
I feel like there's definitely some potential there. So I could see that. If I wanted to see, like, a fight, I mean...
Bat and Iron Man. Them two.
No, I don't really want to see Batman versus Iron Man. I want it, like... If there's a fight, I always want Wolverine in it.
But against who?
Well, that's what I'm trying to think. Like who would Wolverine fight against? And I'm like thinking through the Justice League, and I'm like, yeah, like Green Lantern. That doesn't sound that interesting. Like, it needs to be a ground-based hero.
Yeah, because Green Lantern will put range between him. Once he realizes he can't fly, he's like, cool, I'll just hit you from the sky, and you'll be dead in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, and so, but I also don't want to see Wolverine fight Batman. Because then Batman would die.
He would shred him up. Well, what about Green Arrow?
Yeah.
I mean, he still got the long range, though. He would still try to keep his distance.
Yeah, I guess so. That's what we'll see. We'll see Green Arrow versus Hawkeye.
Battle of the wits and arrows.
Sorry, Hawkeye, you're going to lose.
Oh, who knows?
Yeah, Green Arrow's better.
I mean, I love Green Arrow versus Hawkeye, but yeah. I don't know.
So, anyways, that's a fun. It's a fun thing to think about, and also recognize that the likelihood of it happening is, like 0.00001%.
Exactly right, like point nothing. So that's true, but I don't know what else. I forgot. Do we have anything else? Because I have the Halo thing. Which let me talk about Halo, I guess.
Okay,
Halo.
Go to Halo. Go for it.
So Halo Infinite tech beta has started as of July 29th. through August 1st. So that already happens because by the time this releases, it's, past. So that came out. So there's already videos, though, as of the time of recording this, of people playing the tech beta. So Halo has been around for 20 plus years right now. Well, 20 years, actually, I think, as of 20 and some months. We'll go with that. Okay. They just had their 20th anniversary not too long ago. So Halo's been around since day one. And now this is the 6th main game in the storyline, not counting ODST, Halo 1, 2, Roars, all that crap. But it's just, so yeah, the tech beta's out, and I'm just kind of curious more than anything for anyone out there, what they thought of it, did they like it? Again, this is tech beta, so there's going to be glitches, there's going to be bugs, we're going to be not finally polished all the details of the game itself, so it's not going to look the best. But I want to know what everybody thinks, because to me, again, Halo has been a game that's shaped my life for the last 20 years. I've loved that game. It's one of my favorites. And I'm just excited that, I get to play as the Master Chief again and go back to facing either the Covenant or the Banished maybe this time, or whoever he's going to be fighting. So I'm excited. I'm hoping 343 has finally figured out how to make this game work. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. I mean, I
know you're not a gamer.
I'm not really a big gamer. I have, obviously I know what Halo is. I've played it a few times. I'm not any good at it. Those are not my types of games. Yeah. Like even the non-gamer, like I've played video games. Like I mean, I owned an Xbox 360. I own a PS4. All those things. But I've never been a huge gamer, and I definitely, Halo is obviously one of the biggest games of all time.
It's not like I have a Halo tattoo or anything.
No, so let's, cross our fingers that this is another good Halo game, because...
5 didn't do well, so I'm hoping. Everybody's hoping.
Community loves it, right?
We'll see. Halo 5 was a letdown, so we'll see how 6 goes.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So, is that all we got?
We got one more big news story. One more big news story.
There's so many things going on.
I know. That we had to talk about, which is that Disney has officially released the first look images of Hawkeye, as well as confirmed the release date on Disney Plus. So
November 1st.
The Hawkeye series, November 24th.
I was close.
Sort of. It's coming out right around Thanksgiving. It's going to be on Wednesdays, just like Loki was. That's kind of their new strategy, is that it's going to be on Wednesdays.
Loki sold them on Wednesday.
And so I think this announcement actually does a couple things for me.
Okay.
Because they already had announced that we were getting both Hawkeye and Miss Marvel before the end of the year.
Right.
We also know that we're getting, several. We've got What If coming out in just a couple weeks. We've got Shang-Chi, which is coming out at
August or
early September. Like we've got Eternals coming out in early November, and then Spider-Man, which is coming out in mid-December. And there's actually been speculation that Hawkeye and Spider-Man are going to have a mini crossover almost. Like this series is going to be running at the same time that the Spider-Man movie is coming out, and there might be some characters that are going to be in both things, and it might be a timeline that's like they're happening around the same time. Yeah. So there's a theory that they might actually cross over. So this date kind of lends credence to that theory, because we know it's a 6-week series. The first one's dropping on November 24th, which means we're going to get, the first one is in November, then we're going to get, basically the last 5 episodes are all going to be in December, because I think it's, December 2nd and then every week from there on.
Yeah.
So it'll finish up before the end of the year, but that also doesn't leave any room for Miss Marvel to drop after this series within this year. So I think we're going to get the Miss Marvel series first. I think that's going to drop. My guess is sometime in between Shang-Chi and Eternals. So probably sometime in, October, late, mid to late September or early October, something like that, is my guess, so that they don't conflict with one another.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's kind of what this news is telling me.
Yeah.
Is that, we're going to get Miss Marvel at that date, which I kind of always assumed we'd get one of them in between Shang-Chi and Eternals, and the other one would be in between Eternals and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So now it just seems like we have the release order of which one's coming, which is exciting, because I'm excited for both of those series. Of course, we know that Florence Pugh is returning for Hawkeye, so Natasha's sister in Black Widow. We're going to see her.
So we're going to see her, we're going to see Spider-Man, we're going to see Charlie Cox's Daredevil.
I mean, we might see Vincent D'Onofrio. That's been the recent rumor that he's going to be in the Hawkeye series.
I'm so excited. That just means one step closer to Punisher, too.
It sure does.
John Berthenol's just knocking.
So there's a lot of interesting stuff happening with Marvel. Not all of it is as negative as what's going on with Scarlett Johansson.
No, not at all.
So this is one of those weird things where, like, the Hawkeye series has always felt a little bit like, like once again, Hawkeye's, like getting the short shift. Like, we're going to give you a series, not a movie.
Right.
And we're going to use it to introduce a different character because it's going to be Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop. That's, by the end of the series, going to be the new Hawkeye, and Jeremy Renner, we're putting you out to pasture. But everything that is coming out about this series actually is making me very excited for it.
It's funny, she's taken over, but they're going to crap on her because it's like, oh, but we're going to bring Spider-Man to come around here. Oh, and maybe Daredevil. Oh, and maybe Vincent D'Onofrio, who played probably the best Kingpin ever. Yeah. We're going to bring these other guys in to overshadow you. We're going to keep doing the same thing to Hawkeye that we've been doing and just crapping on them.
I don't know. So. I mean, it's interesting because I think one thing that has been really clear through the first three series that we've had is that these are still Marvel stories, meaning they are still focusing on the heroes, right? Like, WandaVision focused heavily on Wanda and Vision.
Yeah.
And to an extent kind of underserved their villains. I think the same thing happened in Falcon and Winter Soldier. We got a ton of time with Sam and Bucky, and I think we underserved some of the villains.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with Loki. I mean, Loki, we didn't meet the final villain until the final episode.
We're going to have to wait a long time to see him come out.
Is that person even a villain, technically? Maybe Sylvie's the villain, and we did get a lot of time with her.
Yeah.
So, again...
It'll be interesting.
I think, Marvel has continued their pattern of, like really focusing their stories on the heroes and not the villains, and that's okay. So I think we're going to get a lot of Hawkeye time.
I hope so, and again, I hope we get Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio.
I
will be so happy, even if they just show up in the background or they're just waving.
Yeah, I am wearing a Daredevil shirt right now, so
I'm wearing Spider-Man.
Well, he's not going to be in Hawkeye.
He will be in Hawkeye somehow.
No, he won't be in Hawkeye.
I will have hope. Spider-Man will.
No.
So anyway, guys. So on that note, there was a lot of news that's going on. Side comment, Celebrity Fan Fest was canceled here in San Antonio.
It was. So if you had tickets, apparently you're going to be refunded, but you're still going to be allowed to go to Six Flags.
Yeah, you can still go in. Yay, Six Flags.
You can sweat your whatever off there.
Right? So anyway, there's a whole lot to that mess we'll talk about another day probably.
Yeah, maybe not.
Probably not. And so on that note, guys, definitely let us know what other news has caught your attention this week, what you think of everything that's happened this last week. And of course, go check out our Facebook page and YouTube, both at official GYGO for reviews. Res Please was done by Duffy, our community moderator for our Discord, which go to our Discord as well. And of course, next week we will have a review of Halo Reach, a retrospective review that me and Duffy did as well. Just basically going over what we think of Halo Reach. I'll have some gameplay while we talk, and it's really fun. It's been really fun doing this with Duffy. Like, we both are huge Halo nerds, and we love the franchise no matter what's been going on. So definitely go check all that out, guys. But on that note, stay geeky, guys. I'm Aaron. That's Robert, and this is